Hello and welcome to ADIPEC Energy Dialogues, a series of conversations we're offering you in the run-up to the ADIPEC conference taking place this November. And today I'm delighted to be talking with Daniel Cadete, who is the Head of Digital at Varo Energy based in Zurich, Switzerland. Daniel, welcome to Energy Dialogues.
Thank you, Geoffrey.
Let's begin with the question on everyone's mind. What is the current state of digital adoption in the downstream industry?
Yeah, I think digital is taking definitely as a big priority together with the energy transition that we're going through. I think companies in downstream oil are really thinking about how can we position technology not as a supplement to the business, but as a business function. So how can we really leverage technology to bring us closer to our customers, to optimize our supply chain, to literally create new revenue streams out of that. So I think it's very positive times to be in the industry, and to follow up this new wave of innovation and of technology adoption. It's an industry that is very practical. I see it, and I think it will adopt well a mix of what is namely called as buzzwords, big data, machine learning, AI, but also take an approach very practical to what technology can do and what can technology do to really bring our customers closer to us. So I think it's very positive, and I see a lot of good things happening around the industry.
And looking forward, what do you see as the readiness of the industry to embrace change over the next several years in front of us?
Well, I think it's a must. And I think the senior leaders of downstream oil realize that change is a must. We cannot forget that not only the world today is run on mobile phones, but also we are in an energy transition period. So companies in our industry, they really need to take digital as a big thing, and we need to change our organization around it. I think it will continue to be very important to have senior leaders support. And I think the real change that happened in the last years is that technology is not seen as a support thing, it's seen as a business value stream. So change needs to adapt. Of course, downstream oil is not the most changeable environment where we adopt change easily. But I think this is seen as a new thing, and it's taken serious. So I see it as a positive and as a good moment to adopt that change.
And what do you see as the biggest opportunities for digital innovation in the downstream sector?
I think several. So from the people that are closer to the business, they will see that it's very dynamic regarding decision making. In this industry, there's a lot of opportunities to improve the way we make decisions, not only from a cultural point of view, but also from a technology point of view. So I think along the fuels value chain of downstream oil, there's a lot of opportunity to top up our decision making with excellent technology. I think which ultimately creates better figures and improves our overall margin. I think the way we think about our customers is also changing, and there's a lot of opportunities there. Put our customers in the center of our decision making and how we make business. So I would consider optimization of the fuels value chain and the way we interact with our customers as very good opportunities. This will ultimately hopefully leave the industry way more attractive for talent, way more attractive to retain talent. Downstream oil needs to become the new fun thing to work on and not the boring thing to work on. And I think digital will help on that. I think digital will end up creating new revenue streams that we currently don't have, just because we haven't seen technology as a potential revenue streams. So I expect quite some opportunities on how we interact with our customers, and hopefully really make it transform this industry in the new fun place to work and a new attractive place to work. So I think there's quite good things happening.
You mentioned new revenue streams possible driven by digital. Can you provide any examples or illustrations of what you mean by that?
Well, I think if I always think about how the banks did it with their customers. So nowadays, the way we sell product to our customers is by phone calls and by emails and by manual work to support the whole business process. Of course, mixed with some degree of automation. But we can imagine a world where we start having fully digitalized experience to our customers, and we actually charge them for manual interactions, like the banks do with us if we have to order a credit card. And the second thing where I think there's a big potential for downstream oil is in the focus on platforms. So instead of selling oil, we could actually sell the subscription to a platform where we can buy oil, and we can be and you can position yourself as the middleman within the transaction. Pretty much what Uber did and what others have done. So I think having portals and automated and digitalized customer experience together with platforms are two examples of two new revenue streams that I believe we will see quite a lot. And also we have to think about this will tie very well to the new type of customers around energy. The new customers, I think the new energy customers of the future, they will be way more techy, they will be more experienced, they will want excellent service. They are not going to be they will not tolerate not exceptional customer service. So I think these two examples are, I think, where we'll see a lot of revenue coming.
I think you're highlighting a couple of factors here that will change the broader customer relationship in the future. One is the nature of that customer, younger, sophisticated, digitally literate, but also they may be consuming different fuels, hydrogen or electricity. And this suggests to me, at least, that the relationship with the customer may be in flux now, in transition. I wonder if you could comment a little bit on how you see the impact of energy transition and this wave of digital change impacting the nature of the customer relationship.
Right. Yeah, I think it would be a mistake to think that customers, they want to buy energy and now the energy is a bit greener and that's it. I think it's not just it. I think, as you said, the profile of our customer is changing, and I really believe that what our customers will demand in the future is not only energy. I think they will want a bit more than energy. They will want personalized services. They will want what we all have when we order things online nowadays. It tells me what I should buy. It tells me what I've bought. It tells me how impactful that decision is for the environment. These things start to be very important. And I believe that the downstream oil, it is taking this very serious, and it is understanding how can we leverage that for the benefit of the customer, not so much for our benefit, but also for the benefit of the customer. Personalized, unique, just for you, not only energy, it's energy plus. And that should be I think that will change the game. And we see that this is not only digital, this is customer profiling changing, this is renewables coming into place. So it ties together, and in the end I think these things will make the industry a better place to work and a more attractive place to work in the future. So it's interesting, the current status.
If the customer relationship is no longer bound specifically by a direct interaction between the customer and an energy company, does this relieve the industry from thinking about its customer just within a specific geography, its service area? In other words, would the energy company of the future in the downstream actually be embracing customers that might be well outside its normal geographic reach for its energy products and services?
I think it has to, because in the end, I think the future of fossil fuel needs to be complemented with some kind of renewables and less damaging energy to the world. And I believe the big change that we're going to see is that the customers will not only, they will care about the type of fuel they're buying. And so I think, and downstream oil companies, they have quite a good view of the energy market. So they should eat a little bit of that slice of the market and complement it with fossil. Fossil will still have a place in a lot of the years to come. And what we should not do is to separate it. We should make it greener, We should make it better for the environment, and we should make it just personalized for you, for what you really need on that day at that price, which will hopefully do some good for the world. So this type of thinking, I really think it's dominating the discussion. Digital, renewables, it's the two things that the downstream companies are focusing, because of all the things we talk. Customers are changing, the way they request for energy is changing, the way they want to interact with us is changing, and companies need to do this, otherwise niche players will show up and they will take over, like it happened in other industries, in fintech and others. So yeah, that's, I think.
Yeah, the incumbents in the industry are in the best position to service the energy industry's needs in the future. And the incumbents have tremendous advantages, regulatory insight and access to infrastructure. And one thing that you've mentioned a couple of times now is talent, the impact that digital is having on the talent agenda in energy companies. I wonder if you might comment a little bit on how you see this wave of digital change impacting things like talent acquisition and talent retention, compensation, motivation, and reward. This world of talent is now uppermost in executives' minds as they think about the wave of digital change.
Well, I think we need to tie up two worlds. In one side, we have companies wanting to adopt digital fullest in downstream oil, but on the other side, the resource profile that we have in the downstream business is not really digital. So we need to find a way that we can attract that digital talent, and when retain that digital talent, transform and upskill the current ones that we have, in order to successfully ramp up all these adoptions and this new way of working. But one thing will not happen without the other. So I think while companies start to adopt digital, will also make them a better place to work. And we cannot forget that we are competing with, especially in the technology world, we are competing with quite advanced companies in digital, which the market, which the people around developers and the UI, all these people want to work in more advanced digital areas. So it's really important that we take serious the talent attraction and retention. The industry needs to be good. The work environment needs to be good. We need to allow people to really make their decisions and be empowered into changing. So I think it's a serious concern. It has always been, and I think it's being more nowadays with digital.
In a digital world, do oil and gas companies need to look beyond their traditional areas or institutions where they have found talent in the past? Are they challenged now to find and go hunting for talent in fresh locations, or are the educational institutions themselves all ramped up now to provide an adequate digital experienced workforce?
So I think what a company in downstream oil or any of the industry should do is to basically occupy space close to universities, because others will take that space if we don't do it. We need to occupy space close to high-tech companies. We need to make this attractive to bring tech fresh-minded resources to us. So I think there's definitely a new requirement to search beyond the obvious, because the way we attracted talent in the past, it's starting to fade out. So we need to find new sources to bring good people and skilled people in digital to the company. And I think one of the positive messages also that back to some of the questions before, this goes all the way to how you structure your business. What is your business in the future? It is selling oil. It is selling fossil fuel. It is selling technology. It can change. You could see some downstream oil companies becoming tech companies where they sell a platform. They don't sell oil anymore. They don't have retail stations anymore. They own. You could imagine the future that we have the biggest retailer in the region might not own one retail site because it sells everything on the phone, and the retail site is just to Lyft, which you can distribute to to others. So I think while the industry changes, and not only building a new website or building a new dashboard or building a new database, well, when the business really changes around technology, that's where we need to search for new types of resources and new types of skills and new types of mindsets. And I see those things happening. I think really technology, renewables, the business needs to go around this. So the senior leaders are going around new sources of recruitment, new sources of staff, new sources of revenue around these two topics. And I really think it's happening positively quite a lot.
And you've mentioned new business models emerging in the downstream, this notion of platform as a new business structure, and that platform may be themselves a non-retailer, just as a way of creating a market for others to continue to do product retailing. It raises into question, in my mind anyway, other business models, which I've heard working their way through marketplaces around the world. A good example of one is where fuel is delivered to the vehicle rather than taking the vehicle to deliver to where the fuel is made available. How do you see these kinds of new business models playing out in the downstream marketplace as they're enabled by digital?
I think one thing that I think quite often is I don't really know what will be like in 10 years. So how will energy be distributed to the consumer in 10 years? What I know is that I believe that the way we do it has not changed for 50 years. And when these things happen, one day it will change. So for 50 years, we go to gas stations. For 50 years, we fill up our tanks and we pay after. And I think this will change in the next 10 years. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if we're going to have fuel delivered at our cars. I don't know if we're going to have fuel delivered at our homes or I don't know if we're going to have fuel at all. But one thing that I really believe will happen is if majors or semi-majors do not try to reinvent the way the fuel gets distributed, someone will, because it hasn't changed for 50 years. And this is really, it's a niche for me, and it's an opportunity to try to redesign how we do business and how we source our clients. And it has all to do with the fact that our clients do not want just energy; they want something more. And potentially they will stop wanting to go to the gas station if they don't have to, if there is an alternative solution. I think once there is a niche player that taps into well in that market, it will potentially change the way we all operate. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next 10 years. Yesterday, for sure.
It's a very, very dynamic world, and talent, young people coming in. Do they express to you the similar sentiment that this is an industry that appears to have it's been a very successful industry, to be clear, but it hasn't changed dramatically or in any significant way in decades? Do they see that as clearly as you do, and are they setting out to introduce ideas that can help change the industry?
I think the new ones definitely, because that's what everyone is doing everywhere else. So I think the new ones 100%. It's an interesting question, really, because the ones that are in the business for many years, they would reconfirm what you said. The industry has not changed. We still do. The core backbone of this has not changed. And I would say potentially not only downstream, I would say the whole industry. It hasn't fundamentally changed a lot. But what I see also is kind of a concern from senior leaders with this situation that it has not changed. So it goes back to what if someone one day changes it, especially downstream. Upstream it's harder to really disrupt. But downstream, if someone gets into the market and changes the way it operates, it might be a game changer. So senior leaders want to drive that change and want to understand what are the possibilities. They want to drive innovation, and the new guys on the block they also contribute, because that's what they're used to when you hire them from other industries. They're used to try to think about new ways to interact and new ways to support business process and even change them. So that new perspective happens quite often with new people in the industry, I would say.
Yeah, I suspect too, because young people buy increasingly everything online. They live their worlds online and they see an industry that is not yet online. And it just raises the question, how can I, as a young person, potentially without too much domain knowledge, how can I play a role in transforming the sector? And of course, one of the ways to do it is go join a downstream company who is currently in the throes of addressing these exact same questions. So it's very, very important. Let's turn the conversation, though, to the impact of the pandemic. We're right in the midst of a global pandemic situation coupled with collapse in oil markets. How do you see the pandemic driving change in the downstream industry? And how does that relate to this question of digital and the customer relationship and the future of the downstream sector?
Well, I think so. So first, the pandemic has already, in a way, changed a little bit the industry. I think for us in Varo, it has been since the moment it affected the countries where we operate, has been central to everything we do here. And we focused a lot on making sure our people were safe, making sure our people could still operate from a technological point of view, and making sure we can still talk to our customers and suppliers like if nothing would have happened. What we cannot also forget is we not only had a pandemic, which is related, of course, but we also had the massive oil price reduction at the same time. So I would say it was double impact, very related, but double impact. I think long run, it's a big question mark, but long run, some things have changed. The labor, the way we have to support our people has changed. We now have, and again, in a tech world, which we start to compete with, we have companies really allowing people to work from home all the time. We need to adapt to that. We need to compete with that. I think it will potentially, this working from home situation will change the concept of the office for us. This will change. I think from a business point of view, we need to see what happens when, and hopefully when the pandemic goes away. We need to see what happens to the consumer market. I think the big change that I can already see is the way we have our people working with us. What kind of perks do we need to give them? Is it working from home was seen as a perk before. For me, it's not a perk anymore. It's a mandatory thing that you need to allow your people. So I think on the labor market, we saw that. I think positively as well, and unfortunately at the same time, there is a lot of good quality people in the market right now, because unfortunately a lot of industries got affected by the pandemic. So from a human resource point of view, it's quite good to find good talent, and it's something that definitely companies in our area will take advantage of. And long run, we'll have to see how the consumer market adapts. We have to see what happens on the aviation. We saw a lot of demand loss in the last months, of course. I think I see the pandemic more as had already immediate effects on the labor market, and we'll see what happens once it goes away. I think digital and renewables are more long-term and sustainable change that we need to adopt.
I think the message for downstream companies, though, is very clear. The confluence of these multiple forces, wave of digital change, the pandemic and its effect on industry and business, and the collapse in oil markets as a response, this global recession that we're now in, driven by the pandemic, really forcing all companies in the industry to ask and answer hard questions about their business models.
Absolutely. We cannot. What we cannot do is to think that these things happen, they go away, and then everything is back to normal. There is a new normal after that, and we need to understand what that is, and we need to adapt to it and leverage that as much as we can. And I really see the downstream oil industry working towards the direction of adopting digital renewables as a big priority. So I think there's a positive. It's a good industry to be at this stage, because as I said before, if you want to make a change, there is no more appetite than here. So it's really good place to be around impacting with digital. So
Daniel, thank you very much for joining me today on Energy Dialogues.
Thanks, Geoffrey. Thanks a lot.
We've been bringing you interviews and discussions with industry-leading analysts and experts in the industry on the run-up to ADIPEC 2020 this November. I hope you'll join in again for a future episode. Bye for now.